Welcome back to Us's Reviews, and today I'm going to review the original Spider-Man film from 2002. So my idea with the Spider-Man films is I want to try and do one every month until July when Spider-Man Homecoming comes out. So we're gonna start in February, yeah, and hopefully end in June, and then Spider-Man Homecoming will be in July. So anyway, what is Spider-Man about? Well, everyone who knows about Spider-Man from either comics, watching the TV show, or watching these films. Now, the first film was directed by Sam Raimi, and it starred Tobey Maguire, along with James Franco, Kirsten Dunst. Sorry, I got to use William Dafoe, and the last two, Cliff Robinson and Rosemary Harris. Those characters. Anyway, so what is this first Spider-Man film about? Now, this Spider-Man film is pretty much like the first ever origin story of like what happens why does Peter Parker become Spider-Man and how does he become Spider-Man. So, shows you how he gets bitten by a spider, what ultimately leads to him becoming Spider-Man. So this film, when you watch it builds up really quickly to the first scene where he actually shows you. It doesn't take that time to actually build up to that scene. It actually quickly gets you right into the scene of when he gets bitten by a spider, and then it moves on really quickly, which I think that was a good move by the director, because it was able to sort of give Peter Parker the opportunity, and well, Tobey Maguire the opportunity to build the Spider-Man character. So when he is instead of just like dragging it on, like like him figuring out his powers, it rushes it through, and then eventually he learns to become like Spider-Man. It shows you how he kind of has the first suit, and it's not really like not as nice as the one you'll see later on. It's more of like the one you see later on, like where it's just kind of like a bit like a sweater with a spray paint of a spider. But yeah, along the way you see that he has a crush on the character of Mary Jane, and he just absolutely wants to ask her out, but he doesn't have that courage. And the Tobey Maguire character does an excellent job of portraying like he really wants to, but he can't because he's just not that confident. He doesn't have that confidence. Even though when he gets bit by a spider, you feel like he gets a bit of a confidence boost and he's able to talk to her more often. He still doesn't have that kind of extra confidence to ask her out, and which leads to later on, you'll find out what happens later on. So a lot of part of this film is Peter figuring out his powers and fighting crime, but it also builds a villain, and which this film does a really good job in building the villain in the Green Goblin, or William Dafoe's character. And Norman Osborn does this experiment and it goes horribly good, but it has massive bad side effects, which leads him to turn into the Green Goblin. So yeah, and you kind of see that battle between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Now, I don't know much about Spider-Man that much. I'm more of a Batman fan per se, and DC fan, but I do like Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is probably the first hero I actually liked in Marvel. I never really got into Captain America or Iron Man or any of the other kind of heroes in the Marvel verse. Like, I like the Hulk, he was okay, but I like Spider-Man more. I have a very limited knowledge of Spider-Man, but this film does a very good job at explaining his origin story, building a hero in Tobey Maguire, building a villain in William Dafoe, and building a relationship with Kirsten Dunst as well. It does it all very well, and all the supporting actors are very good. And there are very little to really criticize in this film. Like, I didn't really like some of the CGI spots, like particularly when Goblin throws his pumpkin bomb and it exterminates a group of board members, but that was probably about it, really. All the other CGI is pretty good, and you'll like most of it. It is a pretty cool movie, guys. Like, I like the suit. I like Tobey Maguire's acting in this one. He does a very good job of portraying Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and it shows you that dilemma of him thinking, well, do I need to do the right thing? Yes, I do. But then it also plants seeds in for like a future, like where he thinks where do I need to do this? Like, you know, like, does people need Spider-Man? Like, he kind of, it teeters on the edge of, well, people like see Spider-Man as an outsider because he gets slandered all the time by the media. So people aren't sure whether to like him or dislike him. So it's that kind of like conflict that he has, and it's great how they planted that seed in the first film, and then in the second film you will see that more often, which I'll get to in that. But yeah, I liked it, guys. It was a great movie per se. Any few dislikes in it, such as the costume of the Green Goblin, I didn't really get into. I liked how it was kind of like meant to be a little bit flash because he's a billionaire, he can afford that stuff. But I still felt they could have designed it a little bit better. But hell, 2002, man, like, you know, who knows what kind of designs they would have had going into that film. And pretty much just, yeah, like that CGI spot, just some of the other spots like of silly dialogue, but it is okay. Like, you can, it's cheesy. It's supposed to be cheesy because it's a Marvel film, and that's what it's supposed to be for. And Spider-Man's like that hokey character, likes to throw a few jokes and does his shtick of webbing people up. Anyway, but the original first Spider-Man is a great film, and is always one I always liked, and I never really disliked that much. I do, however, think that this is a great start to a first movie. So I'm going to give Spider-Man a 7 out of 10. 7.5. Yep, 7.5 out of 10. That's pretty good. I liked it. It wasn't perfect, but it was a good film. It was a great what they were doing with Peter Parker and Tobey Maguire bond of like becoming the Spider-Man. I liked how he eventually became Spider-Man. I liked the fast pace of them rushing Toby out into becoming Spider-Man quick, so they could just quick, because the origin stories can be a bit boring and they don't want to drag it out too long. It's a simple story too. It's like, well, a lot of people could tell you, well, how did Peter Parker become Spider-Man? Well, he got bit by a spider. And then, yeah. So, yeah, it's like kind of like the Batman thing. No one really wants to hear another Batman origin story. So, anyway, thank you again for tuning in for this week's review. I hope you enjoy the Spider-Man review. Stay tuned for 50 Shades of Grey coming up next, guys. Thank you again for liking and sharing these videos. If you want to see more, subscribe and wait for more. Thank you again, guys. See you soon. Bye.